Hey everyone, it's Rayce Robinson, your favorite Florida mortgage broker, and we are going to look at the number of housing markets with falling home prices jumps up to 110, which is up 31 from January. We're also going to go over an interesting article that shows, or report, a study that shows that the housing shortage across the nation and in Florida, that we actually don't have a housing surplus, that we have a housing shortage. You let me know what you think about that one.
That's very interesting.
And as the rollout of the new Vantage 4.0 credit system that was going to come online, Fannie and Freddie are eventually going to adopt these. It's going to allow buyers to qualify that don't qualify now. Looking at things like rental, history and different things. We're going to do a lunch and learn on August 6th, going over that, and also how do you work with buyers that are challenged, right? A lot of buyers don't have the money. They're trying to rebuild their credit. Maybe they need some kind of manual underwrite. So we're going to spend 90 minutes going over those things and when actually a credit repair professional, we're going to bring David Morrison to go over that and when that makes sense to do that. So I want to jump into this article first where they're talking about counties with the biggest housing market shortages, probably haven't heard that in a while, and none at all according to AEI. So AEI put this report out. I didn't know who AEI was, so I looked them up. And on their website, they state the AEI Housing Center has three primary objectives: provide transparent and objective mortgage and housing market trends, foster a stable system of mortgage financing, and develop market-based solutions to the nation's shortage of economical housing. So this right here kind of tells you their mission, and I think it colors this report. So you let me know what you think. So I'm just going to summarize this, and then I'm going to go over, because it's kind of confusing what they're saying, how they get to the fact that there's a shortage. So there's a long-standing academic debate about whether or not there's a shortage of housing in the United States, and yes, how much of a shortage there is. And there is a national shortage if you look at some measures. So what the AEI did, and I'm going to skip down here to the bottom because they basically took an average of studies, 4 studies from Zillow, Up for Growth, Realtor.com, and McKinsey, and they came up with that there was an estimated 6 million homes as a shortage nationally. And then I'm going to show you what they said about Florida, which I think is really interesting. So on this map, as we go towards brown, it shows that there is a larger shortage, right? So green, no shortage, and as you go towards brown, a bigger shortage. So let's go to Florida and zoom in here, since this is probably the easiest way to see why I actually disagree with this, the way they're pursuing this. So if you look at this, we look at Orange, Seminole County, they're saying a 5% shortage. We say Orange County 5.3. And in the Southwest, we know there's been problems, shows that there's shortages all through here. And when we look at, again, this map nationally, it's showing that like Florida actually has some of the highest inventory, but this would show you that we have the most shortage. How can that be? So we're going to go down to what they define a shortage as. So the reason AEI, so what they did is they took the home to median price income ratio as a proxy for shortage, meaning this is the median income. How many houses are available in that median income to be able, for the average person in that market to be able to afford a house? I went on vacation to Jackson Hole, Wyoming a couple years back, and nobody that lives in Jackson Hole can afford a house, right? People from California and different places are buying, so the regular population that lives there is locked out, and that's kind of what they're showing, and that's the proxy they're using for the shortage. So they kind of go through this methodology and why he disagrees. So again, I want to come back to Florida and use this as kind of why I disagree with this and also why I agree with it. So why does Florida show a housing shortage? It's because it's how you define shortage. So what they're saying is wealth concentration in parts of Florida, second home buyers, cash, push up prices, which means the middle class can't find a home, and these conflate affordability with inventory shortages. So my thought is this is a great study to show that yes, in Florida, if you look at median price and you look at median income, those things have become more detached, and I would agree with that. I just think the study is confusing to talk about a housing shortage in Florida, because that's just not the case. But there is a housing shortage if you're making the median income and you want to buy what we would say within your means. There's going to be a lot less choices, and that's where the shortage is at. Anyways, I thought that was interesting. If you see this study going around, I do think it does show affordability, but I don't think it does a great job on actually what inventory is available. And I want to show this chart here of the number of housing markets with falling home prices jumps up to 110 from 31. And I'll just peruse through here. Punta Gorda always leading the charge. So these housing markets where home prices are falling over the last 12 months. And you can see for the first time, there's a lot of houses that have falling home prices. Let's see if we can find Orlando here. There we are, 3.66%. All the way, I'll just go slow in case you wanted to pick a market out. But really all across the nation, there are markets that are declining in value. And then the main part of that for me is rates. To me, I'm going to oversimplify this. It is simple. When rates fall, which is going to happen based on the current inflationary data, the Fed is going to get pushed into lowering rates. Forget about Trump and Jerome Powell and all that. If inflation doesn't pop up, you're going to see the Fed start cutting rates. Other markets have done it. Unemployment, as that ticks up, that makes the Fed more likely to do it, but unemployment's been fine. But when we get lower rates, all these reports are going to change, and it's just simple math. As payments fall, those people that aren't able to afford a house are suddenly going to be able to do it. And so it's really going to come down to rates. I believe the Fed will cut this meeting or the next meeting. We shall see. And as far as interest rates go, you can see that average is just not changing. When you look at 30-year fixed rate mortgages, they're just pegged to this between 6.75 and 7%. Now, everyone's rate's different. If you're doing a VA loan, it's a different rate than a conventional FHA. But just in general, for the scale, it's not going to change till the Fed changes their tune and the market starts pricing in more rate cuts. So do I think there's an inventory shortage? No. You let me know what you think. Do I think home prices are going to continue to trickle down as inventory goes up? Yes. But it's pretty simple. If we have higher inventory, but we have people that have low rates, not adjustable, and the economy's doing good, which it appears by the measure of GDP and everything else, you're just not going to see a major pricing correction, though you will see some markets go down more than others, for instance, like Punta Gorda and different areas there. So we're going to keep tracking the data. It is going to be a very interesting end of the year. See what the Fed does, see what rates do. My prediction at the beginning of the year was rates to be 6.25. I don't know if that's going to hold up. We'll see what happens. Anyways, we'll track all that data and more. This is Rayce Robinson, your favorite Florida mortgage broker. Come check out our Lunch and Learn on August 6th. Call me for anything. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.